I'm Cindy Gavin, founding executive director of Let's Win Pancreatic Cancer. And I have the honor of introducing our survivor speaker, Marisa Harris. And before I go into Marissa's formal bio and tell you a little bit about Marisa, I just want to say that I'm always awed by someone that takes such a negative personal experience and turns it into something so much bigger and greater for others. And nobody has lived that value more than Marisa. So I'm going to talk a little bit and tell you a little bit about Marisa, and then you're going to have the privilege of hearing from her. Marisa was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer in 1998 when she noticed a hard swelling in her groin. That was 24 years ago. After receiving a devastating prognosis and an estimated 6 months to live, Marisa took leave from her job and began her own researching. The hundreds of articles and research studies became the basis of her healing program. Her research, led by Dr. Mitchell Gaynor, an integrative oncologist who believed medicine needed to be supported by changes on the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual realms. He introduced Marisa to genetic testing, where she found out that she carried the BRCA2 gene, and worked with her to fit her wants and needs, helping her to change her diet, exercise, and find a cancer therapy. Marisa shortly followed this with 7 months of chemotherapy. Once she made the decision to undergo chemo, she decided she was going to have fun in the chemo room, if there's such a thing, and was going to celebrate being there. After finishing treatment, she had regular follow-ups that became less frequent over time, and now she sees her oncologist once every 6 months. Marisa attributes her survival to her power within. She felt empowered and confident. She was focused on the quality of her life and not the quantity. She took charge. Almost immediately, Marisa began sharing her experience with anyone facing a life-ending diagnosis. She is now a certified master integrative coach, a cancer coach, and a mind-body medicine. And she's certified, in mind-body medicine. She speaks on the importance of educating medical professionals on how to best support patients, while also educating patients on how to be advocates for themselves. Marisa says that her most important piece of advice is not to do this alone. Know that healing from cancer requires you to really heal every part of your life. I am honored to introduce you to Marisa this evening. Marisa was actually, for those of you who don't know, Let's Win 5 years ago launched a 5+ year survivor series. Now we have over 50 5+ year survivors, but Marisa was our first and over 20-year survivor. So without further ado, I want to turn it over to Marisa Harris.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you so much. I'm a little hoarse, but I'll talk through that. So I am so honored to speak with you today. This organization has done so much to provide support and resources for pancreatic cancer patients and their families. And you truly honor me by choosing me to speak from the experience of 24 years as a survivor, but also from my experience of 18 years of coaching hundreds of people with a diagnosis of pancreatic cancer. Next slide. So I'm writing a book right now about the 6 challenges that pancreatic cancer patients are most likely to encounter that call upon their resilience, that ability to bounce back from adversity, these characteristics that enable us to expand our effectiveness in meeting life-threatening challenges. For today, I'm going to focus on the first challenge, diagnosis and prognosis. Next slide. It's April 1998. My husband Bob and I are sitting across the desk from a renowned oncologist at a renowned cancer center. He tells me that I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer. and that I'm medically incurable and medically untreatable. There's nothing that can be done, he tells me. My husband asks a question that I don't want asked and I don't want answered. He says, "How long does Marisa have to live?" And the doctor says, "Maybe 6 months, 9 months if she's really lucky." Nothing in all my years of dealing with challenges prepared me for this moment. It's scary enough to hear that you have stage 4 pancreatic cancer. It's shattering to be told that there is nothing that can be done and that I only have months to live. Desperately, I say, "Doctor, there must be something I can do. What about diet? What about supplements? What about exercise?" He just keeps shaking his head. I ask, "What about chemotherapy?" He says, "It's too late and it will just make me sicker." I ask him if there's a support group. He says, "I have no idea." He tells me to ask his girl. She has no idea. Next slide. Last year's survivor speaker, Bryony Thomas, said, "Words once spoken can never be not spoken. Words once spoken can never be forgotten." Words have enormous power. Words can create hope and positivity and possibility, or words can destroy everything around us. I had made an agreement with these doctors' words, and my dreams and my hopes for my life were destroyed, and I felt dead already. Next slide. A couple of weeks later, my husband and I were at a workshop at this learning center called Omega. We're asked to introduce ourselves and share something unexpected that has occurred recently. I'm called on first. I tell them that I have just been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer and given maybe 9 months, if I'm lucky. Later that evening, a woman pulls me aside. She tells me about her Uncle Louis, who ruins every family event. Marisa, 10 Uncle Louis was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer and given 2 months to live. Last week, my favorite niece got married, and Uncle Louis picked a fight not only with the groom's father, but also with the groom. I came alive in that moment because I had just heard my first survivor story. Where there had been only negativity, there was now an element of positivity. Remember the words spoken by Bryony Thomas. Words once spoken can never be forgotten, but new words can be spoken and remembered. And I had now made a new agreement with words of positivity. My self-talk now was, well, if Uncle Louis can do it, why can't I? And I'm a much nicer person. Survivor stories allow the flow of creativity. I remembered suddenly that, wait a second, I had just been part of an executive team that had taken a sick, underperforming business to #1 worldwide in its industry over a 3-year period of time by applying the universal success principles. Now, I was not only positive, but I was also confident because I knew those drivers of success. You start with a deeply desired goal. You must be hungry for it. When our motivation is so compelling, those obstacles in front of us become stepping stones. And with all my heart and soul, I wanted to see my 3 daughters grow up. And there was another goal I had, that whatever time I had left, I didn't want to squander away. I decided that I was going to make this time of my life the best time of my life, day by day. Next slide. My next question was, well, what would it take for me to get well again and to live a life I truly loved? I know one thing for sure. To override obstacles, you need solutions. Next slide. Monday, sorry, Monday morning, I'm at the New York City Public Library on 42nd Street. I asked the research librarian to help me find any studies, any articles about metastatic cancer patients who exceed the odds and even get better. There are hundreds of articles about specific elements that increase quantity and quality of life. There are cancer fighting strategies backed by research that include nutrition, diet, supplements, exercise, mind body practices to reduce stress, and that improve the effectiveness of medical treatments and also can lessen the side effects of the treatment. These and so many more become part of my healing program. They become the process by which I am going to increase significantly my chances of getting well and having quality of life. Why didn't I know about these things? Why didn't my oncologist talk about these potential solutions that could help me get well and absolutely live a better quality of life? And why do I hear still so often from my pancreatic cancer clients who have metastases that they tell me on their very first visit, they're told that they're incurable and maybe just have months to live. Next slide. Remember the power of words. Doctors are seen by most patients as a crucial voice for hope and positivity. The positive effect of an oncologist, of his or her medical team, speaking words of hope and possibility and demonstrating authentic caring is absolutely enormous and essential for healing. Next slide. My research showed also that forming a healing team should be a priority. A patient cannot meet the challenge of pancreatic cancer alone. They absolutely need a healing team capable of providing all kinds of support. They have to begin to realize that they have to ask for help, and this can be so challenging, and receive the help that they need. I knew that my first action needed to be on finding that medical team member. I needed to find an oncologist who believed in the possibility that I could get well again. In my 20 years experience as head of HR, I would never have hired someone who was convinced that we were going to fail in our vision and fail in our goals. So why would I, and why should any patient choose a doctor who only saw death as an outcome? And I just want to say that's not true of all oncologists, but there still are some. Next slide. It wasn't easy back then to find an oncologist who believed in the possibility of my getting well. The only thing I would sometimes hear when I got some second or third opinions is maybe we could buy some extra time. I didn't want to buy extra time. I wanted someone who believed in the possibility, no guarantee, but that it was possible for me to get well. And also who had an integrative mindset for healing. I persisted and I succeeded in making an appointment with Mitchell Gaynor. In that first appointment, I heard the words that I was longing to hear. Marisa, there is so much that you can do to get well again. He sounds too good to be true. He actually disagrees with everything that I had heard before, including chemotherapy. He absolutely believes that chemotherapy would help me. And in fact, he said it's absolutely necessary in helping me to get well again. He's interested in me as a whole person. He wants to know about my family life and also my childhood. He hands me a book which he has written called Your Healing Essence, a cancer doctor's practical guide for hope and recovery. He also gives me an advanced book that he's written, Dr. Gaynor's Cancer Prevention Program. My husband and I go to his group. There's a woman there who's so vibrant and alive and full of energy. I decide that she couldn't have cancer, but she does. She has stage 4 breast cancer. She's doing chemotherapy and she's running. Now, I love to run, but I had decided that running now would be impossible. She tells me that many of Dr. Gaynor's patients have come to him after hearing that they will die of this disease, that his patients do better than the statistics because they do so many things that complement their medical treatment. I'm convinced Dr. Gaynor is going to be my oncologist, and I decide I will do everything that he recommends, with one exception: chemotherapy. The words from that first oncologist: chemotherapy will only make you sicker. It won't do you any good. Surely he would have offered it to me if he thought it had the slightest chance of improving my outcomes. Also, I don't want to lose my hair. I'm ashamed to admit that there's a part of me that would rather die than lose my hair. I tell that to Dr. Gaynor. He tells me that so many of his women patients feel that way. He also says that sometimes we have to lose what we think is so important to realize who we really are. I do everything else he recommends and more. I take a leave of absence from my position as head of HR. My complete focus is putting the principles and strategies for getting well into practice. I'm eating the cancer defense diet. I'm meditating. I'm visualizing this green liquid light that's flooding my cancer cells and washing them out of my body. Result? My abdominal pains are so much less. My CA19 is going down, but nothing has changed on my scans. Reluctantly, I therapy and I sob as my hair falls out in clumps. Next slide. I continue to go to his support groups. I say at one of them, "You won't believe this, but I have never felt happier and more at peace in my life. I even decided that there are gifts in being bald. You never have a bad hair day." Gaynor refers patients to me who are struggling. I share with them what I'm doing. Gaynor suggests that I do my own support group based on the process that I've been following with such positive results. He asks me what I consider to be the most important lesson that I've learned. I tell him that whatever we choose to do to get well again, we should bring confidence and gratitude to it. So, for example, instead of seeing chemotherapy as poison and toxic, I decided to see it as a gift, an elixir capable of prolonging my life and getting me well again. I bring red heart stickers to the chemo room and I press them onto the infusion pole. My principle is whatever I do, I will infuse with love and confidence because I know that that will promote the healing. Next slide. I had found my why in life, and I'm still passionate about it. It's helping people with pancreatic cancer who hear nothing can be done. That is never true, even when they're told that there are no more options. I have clients who were determined to be at their son and daughter's wedding and far outlived the oncologist's predictions. I have seen so many clients extend their lives by months to hold that first grandchild in their arms and even living longer and taking that same grandchild to kindergarten. And I've had so many clients, although their lives are much shorter, who find happiness and meaning in the time that they have. And early on in their treatments, a month or 6 weeks into the work that we're doing together, they'll say, Marisa, you won't believe this, but I never felt as happy and as at peace with myself as I do now. They describe their cancer experience now as an opportunity that helped them to appreciate what was really important in life and to make choices that reflect this new awareness. Just an ending. I just want to thank you for this opportunity you have given me to share what grew out of my experience and my client's experience with pancreatic cancer. I hope it's been helpful and that it will, add to the wonderful work that you're already doing. And one other thing, if anybody has any thoughts about the 6 challenges or are interested or even want to talk about the resilience characteristics that truly are the solutions as as clients go through this journey, I would be so happy to talk to you. So thank you so much again.
Thank you, Marisa. That was just absolutely fantastic. Really, really inspiring. And very moving to hear. Sadly, so many people that we all know, love, and work with have had those same words said to you, and very few have I heard have had such a successful and long and inspiring life as you have. So thank you so much. Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you, Diana.